Nakalimutan ko i-record, sandali. Balikan natin yung sinabi natin kanina. Before we begin, we will discuss the online protocols. Number one, do not turn on your microphone unless recognized. Listen attentively, take down notes, and submit all required activities later on. So, good morning everyone. Our lesson for today is Introduction to Geometry, wherein we will discuss symmetry and asymmetry, the types of symmetry, order of rotational symmetry, the importance of symmetry and asymmetry, and its relevance to our daily lives. First, we will tackle the history of geometry. When did geometry start? Geometry has been practiced since ancient times. Geometry came into being due to the practical need to measure objects such as land area, the height of objects, the depth of the rivers, etc., and many other purposes, such as scientists and mathematicians since ancient times were curious about the shape of the earth, the dimensions of the earth, and when they were able to ascertain that the earth has a spherical-like structure, they wanted to estimate the earth's radius. And by using geometry, early people or ancient people were able to accurately calculate their position using the stars, also known as celestial navigation, and many, many more applications of geometry. The Greek mathematician Euclid, commonly referred to as the father of geometry, revolutionized the study of geometry. He authored a book entitled The Elements. Actually, it's not a book but a set of scrolls. Hindi pa uso yung bookbinding technology noong unang panahon, so scrolls yung gamit nila. But with his book, he standardized and revolutionized the study of geometry. Okay, let's proceed with our activity. Actually, this is taken from your modules, so if you have already answered this, good. If you haven't answered yet, you may do so by writing it in a sheet of paper and send it to me via email or any other method you would like. Okay, set 1. Pick the shape that you think is or does not belong to the group. Okay, next. Pick the shapes that you think doesn't belong to the group. Alright, let's reveal the answer. The third figure was crossed out because it is not symmetric unlike the other three. As you can see, the third figure, kung sa Cebuano pa bungkig, hindi siya pantay. So, compared to the other figures, the third figure doesn't belong to the group. Next. The rest of the figures were asymmetric, while the second one is symmetric. Therefore, the second figure is crossed out. And for the last figure, set of figures, I mean, The third figure is crossed out because all of the others have rotational symmetry. Right. What is the difference between symmetry and asymmetry? Answer daw. What is the difference between symmetry and asymmetry? Let's call on Kim Kalyaga. Can you answer the question? What is the difference between symmetry and asymmetry? Kim, can you hear?
Wait, so it happens the difference between symmetry and asymmetry is symmetry both sides have equal measurement, while asymmetry is the opposite of it.
Okay, thank you. Any other answer? How about Marilu Kalimpon? What is the difference between symmetry and asymmetry?
Symmetry when two mirrored sides are exactly the same. Conversely, asymmetry is the absence of symmetry of any kind. Whenever we make a design that consists of elements that we've distributed unevenly around the central point or axis, we'll consequently have an asymmetrical design.
Very good answer. So, symmetry projects a property of balance. Meanwhile, asymmetry doesn't have this property. Therefore, asymmetric objects are unbalanced. Okay, let's proceed. Symmetry refers to an object having similar or proportional parts along a point or axis. As you can see in the figure, this tree is symmetric because it is proportionate along the line of symmetry. The vertical line you see here is called the line of symmetry. Meanwhile, the other figure is asymmetric because it is not proportionate or it is unbalanced. Let's proceed to the types of symmetry. First is reflective symmetry. When we talk about reflective symmetry, you need to consider immediately the line of symmetry. Because if you can see in this figure, this rhombus is symmetric according to this line of symmetry here in the middle. So all the parts you see on one side corresponds to all of the other parts you see on the other. That's why this figure possesses reflective symmetry. Since the object is symmetric along the line of symmetry. Okay, next. The next type of symmetry is rotational symmetry. So when we talk about rotational symmetry, immediately refer to the center of symmetry. Because objects with rotational symmetry are symmetrical with respect to the center of symmetry here. If you rotate an object and after rotating it, it still looks exactly the same, then we can say that that object possesses rotational symmetry. So now let's talk about the order of rotational symmetry. The order of rotational symmetry refers to the number of times a figure coincides with its original position during the complete turn. So the triangle, you can see here, is not doesn't have rotational symmetry because if you rotate the triangle, it will not look exactly the same as it was before. But if this triangle, compare this triangle to this one. If you rotate this triangle three times, or if you rotate this triangle, it will still look exactly the same until for three times. Meanwhile, this triangle, because of his or of its construction, it doesn't possess rotational symmetry. Now this shape, if you rotate it two times, it will coincide two times also. Same is true with this figure and this figure. So the number of times a figure coincides with its original position is called the order of rotational symmetry. So if it coincides two times, that object is said to have order 2. Three times, order 3, so on and so forth. Okay, let's take a short review. Differentiate symmetry and asymmetry. Okay, let's call on Justin Daligdig. Differentiate symmetry and asymmetry.
Symmetry is when you cut a figure in half. What you call line of symmetry, it is balanced, while the asymmetry, when you cut it in half or have a mirror, it is not balanced.
Okay, thank you. Let's try another one. How about LJ Kagabhion? Differentiate symmetry and asymmetry.
Well, in symmetry, they both have same sides. If you cut it in mirror, their sides are the same. While the asymmetry, both sides are not equal or same.
Okay, thank you for your answers. How about what are the two types of symmetry? Let's call on, ano pa hindi naka-answer? Jan Tabalansa. What are the two types of symmetry?
The two types of symmetry are reflective symmetry and rotational symmetry.
Very good. Okay, next, let's proceed. Now we will discuss the importance of symmetry and asymmetry. Let us relate these topics into real life. So, according to the example, symmetry is important not only for aesthetics, but also in the field of construction, ensuring structures, integrity, and stability. So let's say a classroom or a high-rise building is not symmetric. What would you think will happen? Let's say a tall building is not balanced. Ano ang mangyari sa building?
The building will collapse.
Building will collapse. Tama. So in order to protect the integrity of the structure, we must make sure that that structure is balanced. So dyan napapasok yung symmetry. So what other things can you think? Can we relate symmetry in real life? What is the purpose of symmetry? Another example though, aside from structures. Anyone?
Wheels.
Yes, wheels. Pag hindi balance yung wheels, hindi iikot yung wheels. Tama. Ano pa?
Yes, sir.
Chair, sir.
Chair? Sino nag-answer ng chair? Paki-explain daw bakit kailangan ng symmetry sa chair.
Sir, example, sir, the post of the chair is not balanced or it's not equal to the other post, sir. It will collapse, sir, or it will fall.
Yes, tama. Matumba yung chair pag hindi balanced. No? Correct. Any other answer? Relate symmetry in real life situation. Bakit mahalaga ang symmetry? Wala na? So mainly because of construction, no? And for design, aesthetics. That's the main importance of symmetry. Let's proceed to the importance of asymmetry naman. Asymmetry. Asymmetry is equally important not only to create visual variations. It's because if everything around us are equal or balanced, uh, parang parehas na lahat yung nakikita natin. So we also need some kind of difference in order to create variation. Well, that is not the only importance of asymmetry. Asymmetry is also important, especially in biological systems, as you can see in the figure below. If the left and the right lungs are symmetric, saan mapunta yung heart? Therefore, biological systems are by design asymmetric because it gives space for other important organs. Let's say the lungs. The lungs are asymmetric to give way for the heart. So what other examples can you think of the importance of asymmetry? Any volunteer to answer? Bakit mahalaga ang asymmetry? Yes, ano yan? Were you saying something? Yes, kindly continue. Hindi man marinig.
Hello.
Yes po. Answer na.
Asymmetry balance offers more visual variety, although it can be more difficult to achieve because the relationship between elements are more complex.
Okay. So mainly asymmetry is important mainly on biological systems and visual variation. No? So that is the relationship of, or that is the importance of symmetry and asymmetry, and we already related it on our daily lives. So summary of our discussion, geometry is a branch of mathematics that studies the sizes, shapes, positions, angles, and dimensions of things. The Greek mathematician Euclid revolutionized the study of geometry with his collection of works and studies. Can you remember what was the title of this book?
The Element.
The Elements. Very good. Symmetric objects project a property of balance, while asymmetric objects do not. Objects with reflective symmetry are symmetric to each other half along the line of symmetry, while objects with rotational symmetry have a central point called the center of symmetry. Alright, let's now proceed with our assessment short quiz. You can answer the following questions using any method you would like. You may use Microsoft Word, or if you are just using your phone, you may write your answers on a sheet of paper, then take a picture of your answers, then send it to my account. Email, Facebook, anything that you would like. Okay. First question is, how did the early civilizations use geometry? provide examples. And also, I will upload a copy of the presentation for your consumption. And since this session is recorded, you may also access it later. I will provide the details later for your review, or you want to recall something, you can access the video later. I will just post an announcement. Okay, I repeat the first question. How did the early civilizations use geometry? Provide examples. Next is define symmetry. Short definition lang kasi mahirap mag-check pag mahaba masyado yung answer. In your own words, define symmetry. Next, encircle symmetric figures while cross out asymmetric figures. You can see here a set of objects. I want you to encircle symmetric figures and cross out the asymmetric figures. And number 4, draw the line of symmetry in the following figures. Draw the line of symmetry. Last question, locate the center of symmetry. In the following objects, I want you to locate the center of symmetry. And that's it for our lesson for today. Thank you for listening. If you weren't able to catch up, I will post the slides later. You may access it. Just await for my announcement. Also, the video of this session will be uploaded later on also. Just await for the announcement. Thank you very much and have a nice day.
Goodbye and
Goodbye and thank you pa. Antayin niya lang yung yung i-post ko na doon sa Discord, check niyo.